here, but we're about to find out. It could be good, it could be bad. Let's talk about it. Another day, another dollar, another day of drama in Phoenix Suns land. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Saul Bookman on Outside Shots. I don't know where Eddie Johnson is. I have no idea. He's supposed to be here, but as you can see, he's not. So maybe in a typical fashion, he will show up at some point. I have no idea, but we got to do the show, so I'm here, and I'm going to talk about the Suns because A, I don't really get a lot of opportunities to talk about the Suns, and B, I don't have a choice today. I am here to do my job, and so, but I do thank you all for joining me this morning on Outside Shots. It's been one hell of a week, I will say, really a year or 2 years or however you want to put it. It feels like ever since the Suns went to the NBA final, really ever since Game 7 against the Mavs, everything has just been kind of all out of whack. And it was no different yesterday, obviously, with the news of Nurkić being traded, but no other moves being made. And it's just really, it's put everybody on edge in a variety of different ways. If you go across social media, obviously there's a lot of you out there that are just very despondent about what just happened. You felt like maybe the Suns were going to make a move. We were told that moves were going to be made. We were told Jimmy Butler was coming. There was, for a short period of time, it looked like Kevin Durant was on his way out, but it never materialized. And Jimmy Butler ends up going to the Warriors. Kevin Durant stays here. And no other pieces outside of Nurkić being moved really happened. And, obviously you made a move for Nick Richards about a week ago, but that's it. And yeah, it's going to give you some flexibility on the cap when it comes to, Cody Martin, who they got, and a second round pick and the other guy. But, the goal wasn't just to get under the second apron. It was also to figure out how to get this team to championship level contention. And the way that this team has been playing all season, there really isn't anything that you could point to that would tell you that anything is significantly changed. And that's what everybody's upset about. We're going to get to Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant in a little bit, but first and foremost, let's talk about the trade. Obviously, Jusuf Nurkić gets traded to Charlotte. So you get off that contract, which is great. And you had to give up a first rounder to do so. That's why they made that deal with the Jazz and trading basically a first round pick for 3 first round picks because you needed that flexibility. But you needed more than that. You needed more than that in return to try and solidify this roster and get you up to where you need to be. And I think that's the common flaw with all of this. All of this is that the moves that were made, free agency, trades, Beal, whatever, nothing feels coherent. Nothing feels like they've thought about how these pieces were all going to fit together, right? We've all speculated, and at the time of some of these moves, some of us were excited, but then reality hits when you see these guys play on the court for the first time and you realize, I don't know about this. This might not work. And I feel like that's the situation they're in. And it's just really tough to swallow if you're a Suns fan, because you feel like you had a core that had a lot of promise. They were youthful, you had a future, and then you traded that for all-time great in Kevin Durant. So I'm not bashing that whatsoever. I think that's a move that when you are faced with it, you sit there and you're like, how do I not do this deal? Like, it's Kevin Durant, for crying out loud. And I can make the argument that if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, maybe the Suns go on to win a championship that year, because There really wasn't anybody else in their path besides the Nuggets. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. You know, Devin Booker hurts his foot, Chris Paul gets hurt, and that's basically a wrap. And then the next season, you get Bradley Beal. Again, on the surface, you see Chris Paul's contract and what's coming up, the age, and you look at Bradley Beal's contract, and you think, yeah, great. I would have done that too. However, the utter flaw in what Phoenix did was they didn't demand that the no trade clause came off, right? And because of that, you inevitably put yourself, you were kind of held hostage to a certain degree. Now, I am not ever going to blame Bradley Beal for any of this. It's not his fault. It's absolutely not his fault. He came here because he was smart enough to get a no trade clause when he was with Washington and decided to put that in his clause, and they agreed to it. And the Suns agreed to the no trade clause when they traded for him. The Suns knew what they were getting into when they got Bradley Beal. So for all this hate that I think Bradley Beal gets for not wanting to get traded and all this other stuff, like, it's his prerogative. That's why he put the clause in there. It's just like you, if you have a contract with your employer, there's certain things that you're going to put in there to have safe measures. Sometimes people ask for X amount of months for severance or X amount of years for severance just in case they get fired. Or some people put in other clauses for accommodations that they get, travel expenses and all this other stuff. Like, you can't take that back. That's in the contract. That's what both entities decide to agree on. And that's exactly what happened with Bradley Beal. And for all we know, we don't know what kind of offers were out there for Bradley Beal. I do know there weren't a lot. And that's the other part of this that nobody was really talking about. It's not just that Bradley Beal didn't have a no trade clause. It's that Bradley Beal didn't have a lot of offers coming his way to places that he might have wanted to go, if at all. Because you have to think about it on the other side. If you're going to trade for Bradley Beal, I guarantee anybody that wanted to trade for Bradley Beal was going to ask about the no trade clause and if that could be waived. Why wouldn't you? Because you don't want to be stuck in the same position that the Suns are in right now. You see what's happening, but the Suns are kind of, they're kind of stuck. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they've got to face some real situations coming up, no matter how this year plays out. And I know, what they have said right now is that, they're going to see how the second half of the year plays out. Well, yeah, because you don't really have much of a choice. You don't have much of a choice. The state of the Suns is not in a very great spot, and it's really tough. I also just want to say major shout out to all of you that are joining me in the chat. Jesus VAZ, Sam Johns, I see you guys. I appreciate you. Los, man, it's so good to see you. I miss all you guys. It's been a while for me to be able to chat with you guys. So I do appreciate the time, and make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us out. Outside Shots also has its own independent podcast channel. So if you listen to our show on whatever platform, make sure you subscribe to the pod itself. We would really appreciate it. So nothing has worked so far. Obviously, we have a lot of people in the chat that are going back and forth on this. But of course, yeah, like, I totally get it. I understand it. It's not working. It's not working. It is not working whatsoever. So you got to hope and pray that by some miracle things turn around. But as of right now, it doesn't really feel like that is going to happen, because we've seen this team play against good teams. We've seen this team not play very well against good teams. We've seen them win 8 out of 10 against bad teams and then lose a couple against good teams. The premier teams in the West have got the Suns number right now. So how do they overcome it? You're going to have a come to Jesus meeting is what you're going to have. You're just going to have to. And I don't know how players are going to feel after the trade deadline. I know sometimes players feel relieved that they're still around, that that time has passed, because everybody's name seemingly comes up in the rumor mills all the time. And then there's others that might feel disgruntled about the fact that their name came up in the first place. So how do you take it? How do you go with it? I don't know. Kevin Durant, obviously the rumors were out there about the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Heat, like all these teams. But how does KD feel about this? And I think at the end of the day, does KD feel like Obviously, Gerald Bourguet reported from a source that unequivocally Kevin Durant was not a part of any trades, like just was not. And I know Gerald's source, so I'm absolutely going to trust it. However, there's still a faction of people that feel otherwise. There's been reports from ESPN and others that say otherwise. And so that's going to lead people to believe that maybe not everything is on the up and up. It doesn't matter. I will say this, at the end of the day, all those teams contacted the Suns. I do know this. The Suns did not reach out to try and trade Kevin Durant because their whole goal was about ensuring the betterment of this roster with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in tow. Okay? That's just what it is. You can believe that or not. It doesn't matter. That's just the truth. Now, when these teams came to Kevin Durant or came to the Suns to offer Kevin Durant, if it was a good enough proposal and you're the Suns, that's probably when the Suns are like, hey, if this happened at all, hey, KD, what do you think about this? And he said, no, I don't want to go here, and no, I don't want to go here. Okay, cool. And they respected that, and they left it alone. Because if it was truly a phenomenal deal and they didn't really care about the player, they'd have traded him. But they didn't because they care about KD. They love KD. And so it's a really tough position for a player to be in. Kevin Durant is also, he's to be respected because he's an all-time great. Okay? Kevin Durant is not the reason the Suns are in this position at all. Okay? We have to say that straight up, flat out. I don't care what anybody says. Kevin Durant is not the reason for the Suns' downfall to any degree. He just isn't. He just isn't. Now, the pieces that have surrounded him, the construction of this roster, the foolishness by which I do believe getting Bradley Beal and the way it's kind of cornered you and forced you to not be able to make any moves, that is the real thing. That is something that needs to be accounted for. And I do think that, listen, whether you want to do it now or after the season, doesn't matter to me, because I feel like it's not going to change anything for the rest of this year, but changes are going to have to be made. And how deep those changes go, I don't know. I don't think it's just players. I don't think it's just the coaching staff. I think everything is on the table, and it should be. It should be. You took a team that went to the finals in 2021 that was the best record in 2022, and then slowly but surely has just been eroding. Just eroding. Whose fault is that? That's what they have to answer. They got to figure out whose fault this is. I think they need an experienced GM is what I think. And I've been on that train for a while. James Jones, listen, he was the executive of the year when the Suns had the best record in the league. Everything was on the up and up. It was great. But since then, it hasn't panned out. It just hasn't. Going from the DA situation and trading him for Nurk. And listen, at the time DA got traded, I think everybody was kind of done with DA at that point. Like, we can go back and sit here and talk about his last two games against the Suns and how well he performed, but that is definitely recency bias. Like, if you look at the time of when he got traded, it was a tough situation, not only for him, but for the organization. It just was not gelling. Now, who's to be responsible for that part? Who could have talked some sense into him? I don't know. Two organizations have tried, and nobody can really get through all the way, right? So I don't know what could have been done in that situation. I don't know what's being said behind closed doors, right? I don't know what conversations players were having with him. I know Booker's had conversations with him. I know he's had conversations with plenty of players. Chris Paul was in his ear and stuff like that. But maybe the way the message was getting carried out just wasn't effective enough. And we all know people like that in our life where, somebody can be a hard ass with them, somebody else can be soft with them, and maybe neither style really fits, but one other person might be able to just have a way to get into that head and really get them to understand why their performance is really hurting or helping the team, and maybe they could have got through to them. But I don't know. That's all speculation based on the bat. I know that we need an athletic big. I know that. And DA was an athletic big. Did he play soft? Absolutely, 1,000,000%. Like, did he play up to the standards of a number one pick? Not even close. Not even close. But that's neither here nor there anymore. And that once that move happened, and you got rid of not only him, but Tumani Kamara, who also is now balling, is absolutely balling. Like, that was another miss. So not only did at the time you traded for Kevin Durant and you got rid of Mikal and Cam, okay, and 4 first-round picks, 2 young guys on the come up. That's fine, but it's for Kevin Durant, so you understand it. Then you trade DeAndre Ayton and Tumani Kamara for Jusuf Nurkić, and you end up getting Grayson Allen as well. We can't leave that part out. Grayson Allen is valuable, but Tumani Kamara, young defensive stud, like a great personality. Like, I loved him in summer league. He was great. And then you traded for Bradley Beal. Oh man, everything just kind of felt like it fell apart right after Bradley Beal. And it's not Bradley Beal's fault that the Suns wanted to make that acquisition. They didn't really have many moves up their sleeve outside of that, because you're looking at an all-star, a guy that was averaging, he was the scoring leader in the league at one point. You know what I mean? Like, he was a great player. He just hasn't been able to take that and bring it here and have it all gel with 2 other superstars that relatively all 3 have similar skill sets, right? None of the 3 are, like, without a doubt, unstoppable playmakers. We know this. We've seen this before. But for whatever reason, they thought that they could make it gel. And then it was about, oh, well, if we get a point guard, we can make it all work. And then Tyus Jones has not worked out at all this year. So there's a lot of fumbles along the way, but you're also constricted because you don't have money to give up. You don't have money to give up. You can't go and just get anybody on the street now. You can't trade for whoever you want because you were in the second apron. So you were limited by the resources because of the Bradley Beal deal. So you are now handcuffed. And the only moves that can actually get you tangible returns are with 2 players that a large portion of the fan base does not want to give up: Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, for a variety of different reasons. So it just really sucks. This whole thing sucks. It's not great. I wish it was over, but we got to go through the last 30 games of the season and put on a brave face. And, it's just not ideal. But we're going to get to some of the national talking points here in a second. But first, let's get to a break. Well, folks, you listen, if you're in the market like the Suns are, hopefully you can make a better deal than they did by going to, we're doing Spinatos. Okay, Spinatos. All right, we'll do Spinatos. That's fine. That's the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. If you want to go watch Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, because I just hyped it up and sold it to you, you can go watch them at these watch parties at Spinatos. How about that? And also, they got this cool thing where it's not horse, it's pizza, and you can win prizes, tickets to Suns games, things of that nature, for whatever. Eddie's calling me right now. I don't know why he's calling me. I'm on the show, so it is what it is. He's just going to have to deal with it. But I'm a little distracted. Spinatos is the place to go to get the very best pizza in the city, in the Valley. Go check them out. Win some prizes. Go to spinatos.com. Order pizza. They have gluten-free pizza. They have all types of great food and beverages. And they have a nice little spot over at Tempe Marketplace, too, that you can check out. So Spinatos Pizza right there for you. And then on top of that, now we're going to CarolRoyceRealty.com because if you are going to try and wheel and deal better than the Suns during this trade season, you might as well do it with the best in the game. And that's Carol Royce Realty and her team. And listen, if you're trying to buy a house, that's the way you're going to want to do it, because Carol Royce and her squad have got you covered. They have the resources to be able to find the best assets in the Valley. And listen, it's a no-brainer. You can call 480-776-5231 or visit carolroyce.com, because Carol Royce is the king, or the queen, I should say, of all real estate agents in the market. You can rest easy knowing you're not just making the right choice, you're making a guaranteed one. Love your home all the time by buying a home with Carol Royce Realty, the best in the Valley. So check them out, carolroycerealty.com. All right, let's get to some of these talking heads, because obviously there's a lot of them that had some things to say First, we're going to start off with, there's this quote about from Brian Windhorst that we posted on our Suns account about the team building aspect of the Suns. And that team building aspect of the Suns basically reads as, man, I cannot see that at all. So I'm going to pull that up right now on my phone. But it basically is just like, they're great at acquiring talent. They're not so great at building a team, just straight up. Okay. So the chemistry in the team building is just not there. So who does that fall on? Well, it falls on a variety of different people, in my estimation. And this is where the Suns kind of get out a little bit out of whack. And this is where I'll go with this. The Suns organization has done a very good job of trying to build the environment within the offices and the toxic culture that surrounded that environment with the previous owner. Okay. They've done that. They've rectified a lot of the wrongs. They've fixed the environment. They've tried to do their very best to give employees the very best, right? That hasn't bled down to the court and the environment with the team and all this other stuff. And when you're building a roster, what I think the Suns may have overlooked, or pieces of the Suns, whether that be Matt Ishbia, Josh Bartelstein, or James Jones, when they were putting these people together, these players together, I don't know if they thought from not only a player perspective, but also a vibes perspective, like how that was going to translate behind the scenes. That's important. Folks, you all work a variety of different jobs out there. You have worked in toxic environments where you're just like, oh my gosh, if I have to see this person one more time, or if I have to work for this person, or if this person comes and tells me this thing one more time, I'm going to lose it. We've all been there. We've all done that, right? But then you've been a part of other environments where it just felt like, man, you enjoy going to work. Like no matter what the job is, you genuinely enjoy the people that you work with. Right now, it doesn't feel like everybody enjoys going to work with the people that they have to work with. It just doesn't feel like that. It doesn't translate to the court, at least. It doesn't seem that way on the court. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but I will say there are a lot of murmurs out there about how toxic that environment is. Now, Ramona Shelburne had some comments that we're going to play here in a second, and I want to break those down because I think she painted a picture that wasn't completely accurate. But take a listen for yourself.
The word I would use, I mean, he said glum, I'll use toxic. Wow. like that shoot around yesterday I heard was very awkward, very weird in Oklahoma City because everybody was on pins and needles wondering what they were going to do. And I think now you have this reset where how do you move forward as a team when there was a clear mandate here, like they have to do something. And if they're not able to get anything done, which is, as we say, you talked about it in the open, there's aprons, there's all this stuff. I mean, it's really hard to do something. And the thing they were trying to do did not come to fruition because Kevin Durant said no. It's hard to move forward, and that's where they're left. And I think, look, they had this sort of fool's gold run about 3 weeks ago. They won 8 out of 10. Things looked okay. And then they realized afterwards they were just kind of beating bad teams. And then they started losing again. And I think the conversations between Phoenix and the Warriors, those started 10 days ago.
Yeah. Again, like the toxic culture she brings up. But I think, yeah, it's going to be toxic at shoot around the day before the trade deadline. Like every team in the league is probably feeling like that. If you're trying to make the Golden State Warriors, if they had a shoot around, I guarantee you there was guys on that roster who were like, am I going to be here tomorrow? I don't know. Like it's a tense situation. So when she says toxic, I don't think she means, I think the insinuation is that the culture is toxic. But I think what she said was more of like that situation in that environment was toxic, which I don't think you can associate to the environment completely. All right. I don't think that's the culture completely. But I will say that everything is all over the place. Like it's just all over the place. Like it's not a great environment. People are not feeling great because of the expectations not being met. I will say that. That's easy to say. I think there's a lot of players that are frustrated. They're upset. But I also know that players like Kevin Durant say they want to stay here. A guy like Bradley Beal didn't want to leave because he likes the Valley. And so there feels like there could be a bridge to a better future if everybody could just get on the same page. This is where I'll start. You hired Frank Vogel, it didn't work out. You hired Coach Bud, it's not working out so far. I'm not one to typically say like you should move on from a coach after 1 year. I did not think the Frank Vogel experiment was great. I thought they should have moved on. I will say the same thing about Coach Bud. I think they should move on from Coach Bud. I know, yeah, you're going to be paying a lot of money for two coaches in back-to-back years that you gave 5-year contracts to, which is egregious. Why didn't you learn from the first time? I don't know, but don't do it again, because whatever these guys are doing, they're not building a culture that can sustain success. They're just not. Whether it's holding guys accountable, whether it's having a good structure. Listen, the X's and O's from Coach Bud have not been great. They just haven't. There's times where he looks lost. There's times where his substitution patterns are wildly crazy, like at key moments of games. Like, you don't think that bleeds down to the players? You don't think like Kevin Durant is out there and he sees like somebody like a Mason Plumlee come in at a key moment of the game, and you really could probably use Nick Richards more, and you're just sitting there like, WTF? You don't think they don't feel that? Like, why is this dude in the game right now? Come on, man. That's ridiculous. And that's not where I would stop. Like I said, I would remove James Jones. He had a good run. He had a good run. But it's not working anymore. It's not. And Josh Bartelstein is a younger CEO. He's a young CEO, and he's, he learned with the Pistons. He gets this job. And I'm not saying that Josh Bartelstein has been perfect whatsoever. And I don't know this is the complex part, is you don't know what moves Bartelstein and James Jones and Ishbia each have been responsible for, right? But what I do know is the name, the title of general manager is bestowed upon James Jones. And the general manager is typically the architect of what is being built for this roster. And when the roster ends up flubbing the way it is right now, you got to get it. You got to go. You got to go. That's just what it is. You got to go, man. And there's plenty of other qualified candidates out there. And you're talking about, like, I think it's a no-brainer as to where you should be going next. And I will stomp the floor 24/7 until this hopefully happens. But Bob Myers has built a culture at the Golden State Warriors. He understands relations. And if there's any GM that could mend any type of bridge or ill will on on behalf of Kevin Durant, if he feels jaded in any way, shape, or form, it would be Bob Myers, because they have a great relationship. And then Bob Myers, listen, good GM, knows how to make things work, can move around. Like, that's who I would go after. I think that's a no-brainer. And by doing so, you're also providing somebody that has a lot of experience to be able to aid somebody like a Josh Bartelstein and how to look at things in different ways, right? Like, I played basketball in high school, I played basketball in college, but I'm not foolish to think that I know everything about the game. Like, I don't. Like, I've learned so much from talking to EJ, so much from talking to Corey Williams on Mikhail Madness, that, like, I feel like I learned something new every single day. And Josh Bartelstein has even been on the record saying that he doesn't know it all. He doesn't have all the answers. And that's why he wants to surround himself with people that do. And when you get to this organization, you have somebody like Champ, who's won multiple world championships and has seen roster construction happen and been part of it. You kind of tend to trust somebody like that in terms of their vision for the future. But it isn't working. They're going to end up giving it 2 years working with James Jones. It's not working. You've had premier talent, all-star talent, Hall of Fame talent on your roster. It's not working. It's time to move on. James has got to go. He's got to go. I don't know what other move you can make to satisfy the fan base right now. Like, there is no other move that you can make right now anyway, but personnel-wise, that is a move that I think a lot of people would be satisfied with. I would say that. Okay. And I'm trying not to just, stomp the ground to get somebody fired. I don't want somebody to get fired. But listen, 4 or 5 years is a good enough run. And if you can't prove that you can sustain success at that point, and you've actually you're on the decline, the proof is in the pudding at that point, and you got to do something about that. And only Matt Ishbia and Josh Bartlestein and James Jones know exactly how that dynamic's working and who's responsible for what. But it just does not feel like there's enough experience in the room at the executive level as we currently sit and speak in order to be able to make the moves that are going to be shrewd enough to help this team recover, because now more than ever, you are going to have to be so calculated in your approach to maneuver this roster. And I know on the surface, there's a lot of people that will say, well, if you trade Kevin Durant, you can get a lot of pieces for him. Or if you trade Devin Booker, you can get a lot of pieces for him. Okay, but do you trust that those pieces that they would get in return would be adequate enough to sustain success in the future? Do you trust the people that would be pulling the trigger on that? I don't know. I will say that at the time of the trade, I did think 4 first-round draft picks plus Mikal and Cam was a lot to give up. It was a lot to give up. That was like, if it was maybe 2 and 2, okay, but 2 and 4, ooh, that's tough. And it's not panning out the way that they hoped it would. Again, not Kevin Durant's fault, but you gave up a lot of resources to get Kevin Durant, and you left yourself very little wiggle room for the future. And that is an inherent problem. So whoever is responsible for that, whoever's responsible for trading for Bradley Beal and understanding that this no trade clause could really put you in a pickle, they're going to have to answer for that. And only those 3 guys know. And again, it's just wildly all over the place, and it's really unfortunate. And I wish we weren't having to talk about this today. I wish we were talking about something that was better. And just to be clear, I don't think Jimmy Butler coming here for Bradley Beal would have been the solution either. I don't think that would have been the answer to everybody's prayers or the problem solved right there off the spot. I just don't believe that at all. Jimmy Butler might have changed the DNA of this team to a certain degree, but the pieces around are still not where they need to be. I feel like Ryan Dunn, Oso, Royce, in terms of bench players, role players, maybe they have the DNA to match up with a Jimmy Butler type of intensity. But it doesn't really go further than that. And when you're talking about somebody, like the Heat have a culture for a reason, right? It's not just Jimmy Butler. It's like that whole dynamic. And it starts with Pat Riley. What is the Suns' identity right now? Do you know? Is lost in identity? Because it feels like it. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like the Suns are lost, and that's the identity that they've had for a little while. So on top of that, all right, we go from that tweet, the sound, and then you have the piggybacking on a bunch of stuff, right? And then you have people that are coming out of the woodwork now. And Kendrick Perkins had some things to say about the toxic culture of the Suns, but then he kind of piggybacked and said on social media that he was the inherent leader of the Suns, or of the OKC Thunder, when Kevin Durant was there, which is just the wildest take you could possibly have. And which Kevin Durant replied, "I know this. This is what Kendrick said. It doesn't mean your best player is your leader. When I was with the Thunder, it wasn't KD, it wasn't Russ, it wasn't James. I was the one leading." To which Kevin Durant replied, "I know this may be a reach, but this comment is by far the craziest shit I've seen this week." They love to kick you when you're down. They love to kick you when you're down. That's how I interpret that tweet. And I love that Kevin Durant responded to that. And I love that Kevin Durant has responded on social media quite a bit. And he's been very active on social media, making his voice be heard. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about Kevin Durant. I know some people just do not like that, but it is what it is. Kevin Durant is going to defend himself. He's going to call people out for their foolishness. And he's done it to people across the media. He's done it to people on this podcast, or not this particular podcast, but, our son's podcast and stuff. And so he's not afraid to just go at people. And I love that. And so I don't know where the Suns go from here, folks. It's just really sad. But I do know this. Before we go to a break, there's a really cool thing that's happening on Monday, courtesy of our friends at the All-NBA show with Tim Legler and Adam Mares. Why don't you check it out?
Hey everybody, it's Adam Mares and Tim Legler from the All-NBA show, which you can watch live 4 times a week on our YouTube channel or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
And even better, this Monday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, you can do a watch-along with Adam and I as we're watching NBA games happen. It'll be at playback.tv/All-NBA show. We're going to be bouncing around from different games, hopefully catch some great finishes, and it'll be just like you're sitting at home with Adam and I watching games, so make sure you check it out.
Make sure you visit that link right away so you can sign up and set alerts so you won't miss anything. We're going to be doing these for the next month. You can ask questions directly, but also hear our commentary live. You're not going to want to miss it again. That is playback.tv/All-NBA show.
There's going to be a variety of guests on those shows as well, just so you know. I think I might make an appearance. I know Espo and the guys might jump on, but also other All-City NBA guys from DLS Mavs, CHGO Bulls, PHLY Sixers, and obviously the DNVR Nuggets will also make spot appearances as well. So get some insight, watch a game, kick back, have a good time. Maybe they'll show a Suns game one of these times. It'll be fun. So check it out. And maybe you can lay back in the cut and just have a good time and watch a not stressful game because your team's not playing. How about that? There's another way you can release some stress, and we'll talk about that during this break. Kevin Durant, if you're stressed, I made this offer to you before, my guy. I talked about OGs back in the day, said if you came to the Suns, lifetime supply of OGs. By the way, saw their CEO last night. They want to honor it, but, you got to hit me up. But I said, hey, if you're stressed, I would love to just lay back in the cut and grab some Colt cannabis and just chill out, man. That's the way we do this, right? Like sometimes you just need to get away, and Colt Cannabis and True Leaf have partnered up to give you that opportunity by itself with their exclusive Magic Marker flower, which is a premium brand. Colt Cannabis is one of the best brands for flower out there. So you got to go and check it out at any True Leaf location. They have all types of exclusives, and on Thursdays they got special deals, and every other day besides Thursday they also have other deals. So go check it out. The new True Leaf location has opened up in Maricopa, so go if you're in Maricopa, and get over to trueleaf.com to find your local shop or place an order and tell them PHNX sent you. And then on your way home, when you grab that good flower, you can grab some snacks over at Circle K, America's favorite thirst stop. I always want to say thirst trap, Kyle. I don't know why I always want to say America's favorite thirst trap.
Could be that too.
But it could be that, depending on which location you're at. So anyway, Circle K, snacks, 25 cents off a gallon if you sign up for the first, for the Inner Circle app. Your first 5 fill-ups, and then after that they have all types of deals for snacks, beverages. You get 5 free beverages on signups too, whether it be coffee or sodas. You can get Frosters for 79 cents, Polar Pops, the whole 9 yards. The Inner Circle app is absolutely where you want to go. Download the Inner Circle app today and download those details. Hook yourself up, save yourself some money in this economy that seems to get worse by the day. Do yourself a favor, go to circlek.com for more details. All right, let's get to some super chats for a second. All right, super chats. Oh boy. Oh, all right. Be calm, see clearly. I haven't read these. I hope we're not in for it. So, first one, $2 super chat from Be Calm, See Clearly. She says, or they say, yeah, we need changes, big changes. We are mid. Yeah. Next one, James One Plan Jones. James One Plan Jones. We could have had Mark Williams. Yeah. And then this team needs to be put on a brave face and try. Yeah, that is what I said. And then Altec Z, appreciate you, my guy from St. Louis. I'm happy Beal stood his ground regardless of what factored. I hope maybe he'll finish his contract here at least, because I know he won't retire a son. Well, listen, there was a tweet yesterday that I want to get to. And I didn't want to put this. Listen, I'm not trying to put anybody on blast, but I cropped it, but I just thought that this was kind of egregious and it was unnecessary. And I'll explain why. It reads, honestly, Bradley Beal should be booed every time he touches the ball at home for the rest of the season. Got to find a way for him to waive his no trade clause. Suns are so stuck if he doesn't to be traded. That's just a no-go. That's just, every fan base has a section of fans that go a little too far or a little too egregious. And I think this is a tweet that would fall into that category. Bradley Beal has done nothing wrong. He plays hard when he's on the court. He might not be living up to your expectations, but he's doing everything in his power to do whatever he needs to be doing for his family. And he likes it in the Valley. He wanted to come to Phoenix. He had a no trade clause. Again, that's his right to do that. So to call for him to get disrespected every single game at home is just too much. It's just too much. It's not his fault. The Suns, nobody told the Suns they had to pull the trigger to trade for Bradley Beal. They brought him here. That's on them. So I don't know why a section of the fan base is trying to gear towards like hating Bradley Beal for a variety of different reasons. Again, you don't know what offers were out there for Bradley Beal. You don't even know if there were. Miami wasn't interested. That was one of the only ways you can get Jimmy Butler. No other team seemingly was interested in getting Bradley Beal. There were rumors of the Chicago Bulls, maybe just because of their relationship with Billy Donovan. But that's it. Did you hear of anything else? Come on, man. Like we're trying to scapegoat somebody because of the inefficiencies of the front office. That's not on fucking Bradley Beal. That's not on Bradley Beal. And again, like I'll say this, man. Bradley Beal is a good guy. Like the fact that we're trying to drag him, and this is where I'll take it off the court. The fact that people are trying to drag him because of his contract, because of his no trade clause, everything that all of us would do if given the opportunity. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Why are we dragging Bradley Beal? I'm just never going to do that. Not that. Like, if he has a bad game, yeah, you're going to call him out on it. You're going to say he has to play better. Is there more he could do maybe on the court? Maybe. Yeah, for sure. But to try and make him the scapegoat for what is going on with the Suns because of their carelessness is absolute bullshit. Straight up. It just is. Like, and people that want to call for him to get torn down, to put his family, to take his family and move to a place that he doesn't want to go or they don't want to go, pull him out of school, all this other stuff. Like, there's so many factors to this. That's why he wanted the no trade clause, because he didn't want to be stuck in a position, in a place that he didn't want to go. That's why he put it in. If you don't understand that, that's on you. That's absolutely on you. It's not his fault that people gave him those options and he got to exercise them. They could have said, no, we're not giving you a no trade clause. Washington could have said that. The Suns could have tried to, maneuver this around, but they didn't. Nobody did. They thought they were going to get a superstar, and it hasn't worked yet. So that's just what it is, man. That's just what it is. And I'm not going to disrespect Bradley Beal because, I won't disrespect them. I won't disrespect any of the guys on the court unless they're just absolute a-holes, right? And for the most part, every single one of these guys I've ever met, they've all been great. They're great dudes, right? And Bradley Beal is a family man. Like, I totally get it. If if I had a no trade clause in my contract to go from like PHNX to like DLLS, and I didn't want to go to Dallas because I don't like Texas, yeah, I'm gonna enforce that shit. Sorry, Ben. Sorry, DLS. I don't want to go there. Like, I like Phoenix. I like Arizona. I like Tucson. I'm not going anywhere. So you're damn right I would exercise that clause. But that's his prerogative, and that's what he's going to do. So the state of the Suns right now is all over the place. and we don't know where we're going to go. It's just been wildly unpredictable this season. The rest of this year is going to be crazy. Also, speaking of crazy, I got to show you guys the stat muse from yesterday. You want to talk about the song? One of these things is not like the other one. This from Stat Muse about Jusuf Nurkić, and it is players to average 10 plus points per game, 10 rebounds per game, and one steal per game as a Sun. Jusuf Nurkić, Sean Marion, Charles Barkley. That's the list. Oh boy, we're really trying, Stat Muse. We're really trying. So anyway, that's about all I wanted to say today. EJ did hit me up. He did call me. I don't know what happened to EJ. EJ owes everybody. EJ owes everybody. Okay. And so maybe we'll put an event together to where he will buy everybody a round of drinks who was in the unfortunate position to have to listen to me for 45 minutes. Or maybe we'll do something, right? So you guys all keep receipts. And the next time we do outside shots, bring those receipts up in the chat and we'll keep a list. And then and we'll make sure that EJ sees it, and we'll make sure that EJ knows how many drinks he's got to buy the next time we all get together. So how about that? Does that sound good to everybody? Sounds good to me. So once again, I do appreciate it. I think we got a few more super chats, actually. Let's get to those. Oh, boy, we do. All right. So Michael Scam says, Jones just had to draft Hallie, and we aren't here. So many things. So many things. A lot of stumbles along the way. But I guess it's not about, it's not about the tragedy. It's about the friends you make along the way. Is that what it is? EJ's fine, by the way, just so you all know, Dagnier, I think it says. It says, hope EJ is okay. No, EJ's fine. EJ's fine. He just texted me. He's fine. Let me just say that. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to put him on blast, but come on now. Let's go. EJ, you got to be better than this. Okay. Folks, I really do appreciate your time this morning on this tumultuous time for Suns fans, and hopefully it gets better. Hopefully this team can find a way to put it all together and rectify the ship. And a lot of unknowns out there. And I know one thing is for sure, none of us want to go back to the 2010s. It was a terrible time. None of us want to do that. And hopefully somehow, some way, we will find a way through this, and we will come out of the other side like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank, when he had to crawl through 500 yards of crap just to come out on the other side. Because right now it definitely feels like we're in some type of purgatory or some type of prison. And so hopefully we can find our way out. So until next time, folks, we do appreciate you. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. You can follow the invisible EJ at JumpShot8 on all the platforms. And make sure you hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Somebody gave us a thumbs down. Why, man? Why? What did I do to you? I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.